Hello, everybody. This is Mike, and I'm coming right back at you. Happy New Year 2025. Hope you all had a good relaxation and now you're back to work. You're freezing your rear ends off. January 13th, 2025 newsletter. Uh, so, this is the New York Notary Public Refresher Training newsletter, free for all notary publics in New York State and people studying to become a notary public in New York State. So it's a free enrollment. We have 25,000 members receiving this newsletter. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be provided links to join the newsletter and get more information than these videos. So today's newsletter is another New York Notary Public that was charged of misconduct. And I'm going to go ahead and get into this. First, I like my disclaimer. Note, this information is already published online by New York State. So I am not violating anybody's privacy. You know, I purposely choose old cases that are still relevant with the current New York Notary Public licensing laws. The reason I choose old cases is these people aren't, notarizing anymore, and they're pretty much retired, or maybe even some of them have moved on to greener pastures. So anyway, these cases are all covering exam questions that are reflected in the current New York State Notary Public licensing law as of 2025, completely relevant for you folks that have been notaries for years and years that need review of laws, and for those of you that are going to take the exam, and for you people that took the exam over 20 years ago with me, yes, they're still requiring number 2 lead pencils. We have not gone with the technology yet. In 2025, still using pencil and paper on the exams. We have the technology. Okay, so this is about a Nassau County, New York notary public charged with misconduct for notarizing process service affidavits while not licensed as a New York State notary public. I know a lot about process service affidavits. One of the many jobs I had at one particular law firm was I supervised and managed the process servers and did the trial preparation and managed all the investigative unit. So we would do in that law firm, we could do as many as 15 of those in a day, all right, when there was a lot of trials going on. So now this is the actual screenshot of the decision. State of New York, Department of State, Office of Administrative Hearings. We call it a tribunal hearing. And this is in the matter of the complaint of Department of State Division of Licensing Services, who were licensed under, that's who we're licensed by, if they ask on the exam, who's the complainant, charging the respondent, Norman L. Yellen, who was at the time licensed as a notary public when he was brought up on charges. And here's the link where I got this that's published online. Okay, so anyway, the complainant was represented by litigation counsel Lawrence Soronin, Esquire, and the complaint was alleging that the respondent repeatedly notarized documents for filing in public offices through the use of a fraudulent notary public registration number and stamp. That's called fraud in office for you people taking the exam. Fraud in office is only a Class A misdemeanor, even though it has the word fraud in it, which can be confusing on the exam because everything else that's fraud is a felony on the exam. So anyway, he was filing these affidavits of service to be filed in public offices. That would be the courts. Okay, when you serve people, you file these affidavits of service in the courts, and most of them get settled. The cases get settled before trials. However, in this case, apparently it went to a trial because he got caught over 4 years later after they were filed. Let's get into this. So, first of all, his lawyer, when he was brought up on charges, filed an application for adjournment. This is very interesting. So, by mail and in-person, counsel for the respondent sought an adjournment on the grounds that the respondent is facing criminal prosecution arising out of the same transactions as underlie the complaint herein, and that although he wished to testify in his defense, to do so might jeopardize his defense in the criminal matter. So the application for adjournment was denied by the judge and it gave a case history. Let me explain this. This is a tribunal hearing when you get brought in on notary public charges. And then if they find out you did do a criminal charge, which is anything that can be, found out in there, uh, it can be referred to criminal court later. And that's what's going to happen in this case. So the legal strategy was this gentleman's lawyer said, we'll keep your mouth shut because you can get worse criminal charges later down the road. We'll go ahead and basically just lose your notary license here. Okay, so the findings of fact from the transcript: the accused respondent was currently licensed as a New York State Notary Public at the time the charges were brought against him for notarizing affidavits of service. So how could it be fraud in office? Well, the problem was he did not have a notary public license when he notarized at least 3 times without a license. So he did not get his notary license until over 4 years after he notarized the affidavits. Now, they couldn't find out in the court if he was previously licensed and let it expire or he just didn't have it because they wouldn't let him testify. So the court assumed that he never had a notary license because there was no license on record for the dates he notarized. So why did it take so long for him to get caught? Why did it take 4 years after he notarized those things and they were filed with the courts? Well, that's because people are served papers at the very beginning of a lawsuit. However, my experience for over 15 years was that trials don't happen until 4 or 5 years later. And it looks like the attorneys involved in the trial challenged the affidavits at the time of trial, because you can get a case thrown out if you can prove, that affidavits were filed illegally, and you can challenge those. I don't really know what happened here. I'm just speculating. So the reason they noticed it was because he was not using the proper format. He did not include the date of the Notary Commission expiration on his statement of authority. So let's review for all of you that are notaries. The statement of authority has to have, and it's known as a notary stamp. It can have your name. It has to have your name, the words Notary Public, State of New York, your license number, the county you're qualified. In this case, it was Nassau, and the expiration date. So that was missing. He didn't have that. And they thought, oh, that's suspicious, and they challenged it, and he got caught. All right, by the way, your statement of authority for you people taking the exam and you people in the real world that have been licensed for so long, this is always required in everything you notarize underneath your original signature. And it does not have to be stamped, though. It can be handwritten, photocopied, or stamped. So that's the exam on the answer. That would be an all the above answer on the exam if they said what's required for the statement of authority. It can be handwritten, photocopied, or facsimiled, or stamped. Okay? All right, so this is the screenshot from the opinion. Pursuant to Executive Law 135A, and that's on the notary exam, it is a misdemeanor for a person to hold himself out as entitled to act as a notary public or to assume or to use the title of notary public without having first been so appointed. Through his transactions in notarizing affidavits of service while not commissioned as a notary public, the respondent violated that section. Okay, so I'm not going to read the rest of it. If you folks want to read that, you can go ahead and pause your video and read that. Okay, so that was a very unhappy dude, all right, because he was in trouble. He's losing his license because remember, he's licensed now. He did this 4 years before they could find a license. So he's very extremely upset. Not a good life event for any of us. Of course, you folks out there listening would never do this, make this mistake. Okay, so the New York Consolidated Laws, Executive Law 135A, is Notary Public Commissioner of Deeds acting without appointment. So a Notary Public or a Commissioner of Deeds acting without appointment is called fraud in office. Any person who holds himself out to the public as being entitled to act as a Notary Public or Commissioner of Deeds, or who assumes, uses, or advertises the title of Notary Public or Commissioner of Deeds or equivalent terms in any language in such a manner as to convey the impression that he or she is a Notary Public or Commissioner of Deeds without having first been appointed as a Notary Public or Commissioner of Deeds, or a notary public or commissioner of deeds who, in the exercise of the powers or in the performance of the duties of such office, shall practice any fraud or deceit, the punishment for which is not otherwise provided for by this act, shall be guilty of a misdemeanor. So unless it's really bad, it's only a misdemeanor. I'll say only a misdemeanor. So the determination the court found, and this was Judge Roger Schneier, who's no longer, on the bench. He determined that this person violated Law 135A and engaged in acts of misconduct, and accordingly, pursuant to Executive Law 130, his commission as a notary public was revoked effective immediately. Okay, so that was a bummer. But then, Section 70.15, sentences of imprisonment for misdemeanors. This is on the exam. Sentences of imprisonment for a misdemeanor in New York State in violation, the Class A misdemeanor. A sentence of imprisonment for a Class A misdemeanor shall be a definite sentence. When such sentence is imposed, the term shall be fixed by the court and shall not exceed 364 days. So we like to say 1 year because there's 365 days in a year, right? So the exam answer they give you is 1 year maximum. Now this is kind of a trick question on the exam because notice it says it's a definite sentence. Definite means you have to be sentenced. You can be convicted without any jail time, and most first-time misdemeanors don't get any jail time. So when such sentence is imposed, the term shall be fixed by the court and shall not exceed the 1 year. Okay, that means they can give you anything from 1 day to 1 year maximum, or they can give you 0 days and still have a conviction on your record. So a conviction of a misdemeanor can show on your record without having served jail time. So it's kind of tricky on the exam. So that's his next stop, was the Nassau County Courthouse, and he got the conviction. Okay, so that's me. I've been doing this for 23 years. This is yours truly, Mike. And if you want to know how to become a notary in New York State, you're going to find out here. Give me a call, 347-427-9091. Always hit extension 1. And, we have these I Love Me walls for you folks that are notaries already. They're 8x11. They're very nice. If you want to call me and pick my brain, I have 450 live 5-hour training events under my belt in New York for the last 23 years. I've trained way over 70,000 people in person, online. I think our online class is well over 14,000 people now, tried and proven. And so I brought all that experience and put it all in the Notary Public online classes, which are updated for 2025. So we've got 275 testimonials in there, 5-star reviews, and we have a lot of reviews now for the New York remote online class, which comes after the regular traditional notary license. It's only $77, $77 only. And you can click on this button and read the reviews. New York, it's notaryny.thinkific.com. Okay, so go to our website, our main website, howtobecomeanotaryinny.com. Get the 8x11 notary license wall display for your office. I nicknamed that the I Love Me wall. That's what we used to call it in the military when we got certificates. And that never expires, doesn't have an expiration date on it. It's really beautiful. Put it on your cubicle at work and let your coworkers see that you did it. So we've got the remote online notary, we've got notary supplies, notary exam schedules, sample New York notary practice exam for free there if you want to see what this is like. And hey, listen, I want to thank you for watching again. Once again, Happy New Year, Happy 2025. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share if you're on the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.